Hi, I'm Alex McCord, and welcome to The Real Deal on TheStir.com. Today's episode is all about marriage with WeTV's Marriage Boot Camp Reality Stars, Episode 6, as well as the brand new network FYI's brand new show, Married at First Sight. Have you heard about this one? Well, we'll do First Sight first, and let me tell you how I came to cover this show. Prior to the premiere, I had heard that the A&E network was rebranding the biography channel as FYI, which kicked off on July 8th with the premiere of their first show, Married at First Sight. But what really, truly sealed the deal for me? Well, last weekend I was at a house party in the Hamptons, and there happened to be a boatload of reality stars there. Over a dozen, including myself, are current or former headliners on major shows, and of the 100 other guests, every single one of them works in TV or media. So, what do these people talk about in their downtime? Other people's shows, of course. And the number one show being discussed? This brand new show on a brand new network that's arranging marriages. I mean, this is what I was talking about with Patty Stanger, the millionaire matchmaker. So I'm thinking, what is this all about? After I got home, I queued up my on-demand TV and mainlined all 3 episodes back to back. So we've got 2 episodes and a casting special so far. The premise is this: 4 experts, a psychologist, a sociologist, a sexologist, and a spiritual advisor, got together and arranged 3 marriages. The couples went into the wedding ceremonies completely blind, armed only with an agreement to legally marry a stranger and live with them for 4 weeks, at which point they would then decide whether to stay together or get divorced. And wow, it's fascinating. I mean, I met my husband online and our courtship was fast, but it wasn't blind. But could this type of outsourcing work? A single friend of mine said recently that life moves too fast these days to get a proper read on people. With 24/7 access to information, people glued to their phones, and the breakneck pace you have to adopt in order to survive and thrive living in the city, there's really not much time left over to look for Mr. or Ms. Right. And while arranged marriages have long been accustomed in religious cultures, this exercise is intended to be as scientific as possible. Going in, these couples have a lot more in common than your average relationship. In the casting special, we see the producers go for a little humor, interviewing people who are cut for one reason or another. 625 people agreed to sign up for the experiment, committing to marrying a stranger, creating a pool from which they make 3 matches. From a production perspective, there's a lot of repetition in the first 2 episodes, in and out of each commercial break, almost as though they think the viewer's not paying attention. And there were cliffhangers in each wedding ceremony with a commercial break before the second couple says, "I do." This is not the fault of the cast. That's all editing. Also, I would have liked to have seen more of the initial assessments on camera, but with the 625 people they had to get through, maybe they didn't get it all on tape, maybe they couldn't find it, I don't know. I would have liked to get inside the experts' head a little bit more, but stalking the experts' Twitter feeds, it does seem that the evaluations were very, very thorough, just a lot of it didn't make the cut. But let's talk about the match choices. First up, a reality TV contestant, which immediately made me suspicious. Jamie Otis has 2 reality shows under her belt, The Bachelor and Bachelor Pad, and this immediately made me think arranged casting. Was Jamie a lock to begin with for ratings, and was it a production mandate to try and find somebody for her? Also, I've personally met quite a few Bachelor and Bachelorette contestants, and some of them are genuine, but a lot of them are comedians performing for the cameras. So even before we got to episode 1, I was suspicious of any Bachelor contestant and what led Jamie to be there. But maybe that's what we viewers are supposed to think. So, however Jamie got to the process, she's here now. We get to her ceremony, and all we're seeing is that she's not immediately knocked off her feet by her groom, Doug Hayner. What are we supposed to think now? Is she your typically superficial Bachelor contestant? Certainly, our thought process is being helped by editing, because all we are seeing are her worst moments throughout episode 2. But we also see in the season super tease that she does warm up to Doug. So the greatest payoff for viewers and the network would be if Jamie and Doug make it after all. Both of the other couples, Monet and Vaughn and Courtney and Jason, seem like absolutely brilliant matches so far. This is where we're really seeing the attention to detail of the 4 experts. Every single thing we've learned so far about Monet and Vaughn seems to match them up. Their family life, their dreams, their expectations, everything looks perfect. Monet's panic attack to viewers means she's taking it seriously. If she didn't care, she wouldn't be hyperventilating. With Courtney and Jason, both their chosen careers and their performance careers as burlesque dancer and professional wrestler seem almost too good to be true. The genuine emotion and attraction between them at their wedding was easy to see, and my favorite moment so far was them stealing a real kiss on the dance floor and then suddenly realizing the camera guy zoomed in on them and they pulled back. With these four, knowing what I know about reality TV makes me terrified for their futures. If what we're seeing now is so perfect, there's got to be a bump in the road for all of them somewhere to make a good show. I'm getting a too good to be true vibe here, but I'm also all in and invested in these six, which is part of what makes everybody talk about this show. How can you not be pulled in by all the families watching their sons and daughters take this leap? The horrified look on the face of Jamie's mother as she realized how uncomfortable her daughter was. The mischievous glass clinking by Monet's godfather to encourage her to kiss Vaughn. The immediate empathy Courtney showed Jason upon hearing about his mother with stage 4 lung cancer. As a viewer, I desperately want all three couples to work out, because guess what? Most of us are emotional romantic saps at heart, and no matter how ridiculous and cutthroat life in New York City is, let alone reality television, we all believe in love. Next up, let's go from creating love to saving love as we switch over to episode 6 of Marriage Boot Camp Reality Stars. And frankly, if Married at First Sight becomes a successful franchise, that creates a whole new pool of patients from which to pull for counselors Jim and Elizabeth Carroll. From a behind-the-scenes perspective, a fascinating piece of boot camp this week was Jenny JWoww Farley's meltdown. Jenny is livid because news of her pregnancy has leaked to the press from a source inside the house, she thinks. Her fiancé Roger is angry because the world is finding out before their families do. Now, part of the problem with a career in reality TV is that your life is on display 24/7, and for that reason, the first trimester rule of keeping a pregnancy secret is nearly impossible to keep. Every time I see somebody go through this, I'm thankful I finished having babies before going on reality TV. We lived through this on the Housewives with Bethany's pregnancy, and there's a really tough gray area where the cast and crew all know, because you can't hide it with the physical changes, fatigue, morning sickness, doctor's appointments, let alone the stopping of typical reality show behaviors such as drinking and partying. Suddenly, In Touch or Perez Hilton have the story, and it's coming out before you're ready. I appreciated the breaking of the fourth wall on Marriage Boot Camp to show Jenny's anger over the story leaking. It's totally possible that someone on the crew went out with their buddies and let something slip, then somebody else decided to cash in with a tabloid. But most production contracts have a confidentiality clause, and crew members tend to respect those much more than talent. There are often significant money penalties which would more than eat up what a tabloid would pay, plus they'd have a hard time getting another job. Roger counts off all the industry people Jenny has already told, and it becomes evident that there's plenty of room for someone else to have spilled the secret. See, if you're a pregnant reality star, it's good business to pitch that out. A baby TV special, an endorsement deal, commercials, magazine shoots. Kim Zolciak did it. That got her a renewal of Don't Be Tardy, which premieres tonight. Any major life event is a business opportunity for a reality star, so she has to tell people early enough to secure those pitches. Roger is sick and tired of having his life on display, which comes down to a major cliffhanger at the end of the episode when Jenny has to go back to the East Coast for work. He asks for the option to stop participating in public life with her, and she says no. The question on everyone's mind is, where do you go from that? Between this and their exercises this week, it's great to see these two outside the realm of the Jersey Shore. At the moment, Jenny and Roger are sharing the most in this show, for better or worse. Elsewhere on the episode, there was a great communication challenge with a shocksticle course. I mean, imagine being blindfolded and going through an obstacle course with your partner directing you, and anytime you're not communicating, you both get shocked. The Bachelor/Bachelorette sweethearts, Trista and Ryan, were no surprise. They won with no shocks at all. And I was actually surprised to see how well Gretchen and Slade communicated, but not at all surprised over Tanisha and Clive. Clive was completely unable to direct Tanisha, and what do you expect? She had the biggest, baddest Bad Girls Club meltdown you can imagine. Now, it is great reality TV, pass the popcorn, but it made me wonder how these two ever got together in the first place. Did they sign up for the show just to get paid and make a big scene? And if so, why did Clive agree to be trampled on like this? He seemed about as articulate as the hand puppets they used to talk about sex earlier in the episode. Well, we'll get to find out when the next episode airs this Friday. Meanwhile, let me know what you thought in the comments. Which Marriage at First Sight do you think has the best chance of success? What's going to happen with Jenny and Roger at the marriage boot camp? For now, I'm Alex McCord. You are watching The Real Deal on thestir.com. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, and I'll see you tomorrow.